आवाज आवाज आ गई। हेलो, गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। सभी लोगों को नमस्कार। करंट अफेयर्स साइंस एंड टेक की क्लास शुरू हो गई है और अभी आप जो है हमारे साथ इस वीक यानी पिछले वीक के करंट अफेयर्स की कुछ न्यूज़ जो है वो देखेंगे। आपको मैं यहाँ पर कई सारे न्यूज़ के बारे में बताऊंगा जो पिछले वीक में इम्पॉर्टेंट इवेंट्स आपको न्यूज़पेपर में मिले, हम उनको जो है वो एक एक बार देखेंगे, राइट। सो हियर वी हैव द न्यूज़ which are coming. The first news, which is you can see here, which is on the board. You can see here it is the news given in Hindu, and this news explained how gene therapy could cure cancer. Right? If you heard about the gene therapy and the different innovations in the field of biotechnology, this particular therapy, that is gene therapy, is also related to the portion of biotechnology. बायोटेक्नोलॉजी के पोर्शन से रिलेटेड है। यहाँ पर वी हैव लिसन्ड अबाउट द क्रिस्पर cas9 सिस्टम, हाउ दिस क्रिस्पर cas9 सिस्टम वर्क्स। तो इसके बारे में भी हम लोगों को पता है कि ये किस तरीके से काम करता है। क्रिस्पर cas9 वर्क जो है वो किस तरीके से काम करता है। गुड इवनिंग, two persons are I can see here, Manglish Mishra and Rashmi. Good evening to both of you. So as I was telling you that this is the system which is concerned with the field of biotechnology, and here it is the news in which the gene therapy is used to cure the cancer, right? कैंसर को ट्रीट करने के लिए यहाँ पर इस जीन थेरेपी का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है। बिफोर आई टोल्ड यू अबाउट दिस न्यूज, उससे पहले हम कुछ चीजें, गुड इवनिंग प्रतुष, उससे पहले हम कुछ चीजें इसके बारे में जाने। व्हाट इज दिस जीन थेरेपी, इसमें हम करते क्या है। सो एक्चुअली इफ वी define and if we came to know that a particular disease is concerned with the defect of a gene, so if we replace that gene with a healthy gene, the disease can be cured, and this is called, this process of therapy is called gene therapy. सिंपल सी चीज है, इसमें और कुछ भी विशेष जो है वो आपको जानने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। यहाँ पर आप सीधे तौर पर जान सकते हैं कि जो पूरा का पूरा सिस्टम है, दिस सिस्टम इज कंसर्न्ड विद व्हाट, दिस सिस्टम इज कंसर्न्ड विद द बायोटेक्नोलॉजी, द फील्ड ऑफ बायोटेक्नोलॉजी, राइट। तो आइए मैं आपको सबसे पहले बताऊं कि ये आखिर किस रिगार्डिंग ये न्यूज है। यहां पर आप एक चीज देख रहे होंगे, इस जो डायग्राम आपके सामने ओपन हुआ है, इन दिस डायग्राम आई एम शोइंग यू द स्ट्रैंड ऑफ डीएनए, है ना, ये डीएनए का स्ट्रैंड है। और इस डीएनए के स्ट्रैंड में अगर आई एक्चुअली take out this strand of gene, and this strand of gene is this strand of DNA is put here, so the DNA become completed, right। ये जो DNA होगा ये complete हो जाएगा पूरा का पूरा इस स्ट्रैंड को जैसे ही यहां पर लगाएंगे। लेकिन अगर we came to know that this portion of DNA is defected and due to that defect a disease is caused there, है ना, वहां पर क्या हो गया, एक डिजीज आ गया यहां पर जो डिफेक्ट आया उसकी वजह से। सो वी एक्चुअली कट दिस part of DNA, and this part of DNA is replaced by a part of DNA that is similar to it, but it is taken from the healthy DNA जिसमें किसी तरह का कोई डिफेक्ट नहीं है, and it is taken from another person, किसी दूसरे पर्सन से लिया गया, and that's why when this portion is joined here, तो यहां पर ज्वाइन करने से क्या हो जाएगा, ये डीएनए का सीक्वेंस एक तो कंप्लीट हो जाएगा, एंड द अदर थिंग इज व्हाट, द डिफेक्ट हैज गॉन, जो डिफेक्ट है वो चला जाएगा। सो इफ ड्यू टू दैट डिफेक्ट अ डिजीज इज कॉज्ड, दैट डिजीज वुड बी क्योर्ड, है ना, वो वहां से क्या हो जाएगा, क्योर कर लिया जाएगा। दिस इज द बेसिक मेथड, है ना। और इसमें हम क्या कर रहे हैं, इसमें पहले तो हम सर्टेन एंजाइम्स का इस्तेमाल करते हैं जो कि नेचुरल या बायोलॉजिकल नाइफ का काम करते हैं, बायोलॉजिकल सीजर का काम करते हैं। एंड आफ्टर कटिंग द पार्ट ऑफ द डीएनए we will use a kind of gum, that is biological gum. It is a kind of another enzyme that is used here to join this strand of DNA that is taken from other person. दूसरे पर्सन से जो भी डीएनए का पार्ट लिया है उसको यहां बीच में जोड़ने का काम वो करेगा। वो भी एक तरीके का एंजाइम होगा जिसको आप लाइगेज बोलेंगे, ठीक है। तो ऐसे करके आप दो डिफरेंट पार्ट्स जो है, दो डिफरेंट एंजाइम्स का इस्तेमाल करके इस तरीके का डीएनए में करेक्शन करते हैं। नाउ I am showing you the portion of DNA, but I am talking about the gene editing. So whether the gene and DNA are concerned with each other, or you can say that genes are different and DNAs are different. Are you convinced with it? क्या आपको ये लगता है कि जीन और डीएनए जो है वो दोनों एक ही हैं या फिर दोनों अलग अलग हैं? ठीक है, जीन अलग चीज है और डीएनए अलग चीज है। क्या जानते हैं आप इस बारे में, एक बार मुझे बताएं जरा। If you are clear about that, kindly tell me the things. After Pratush, Ravi, Ashu Ali and Mamta have joined. Good evening to all of you. जी आशु, मैं बिल्कुल अच्छा हूँ. I am very good. Okay. Mamta is saying that uh, both are same and Pratush is saying that both are different. Okay. मैं इसको थोड़ा सा कंक्लूड करता हूं। मंगलीश ने भी कहा है बोथ आर सेम। देखिए, एक्चुअली whenever we talk about gene, है ना, so gene is that part of DNA which is concerned with a certain sequence in DNA, है ना। डीएनए में हमारे क्या होता है? Yes, very good. Rashmi has given the proper answer. Gene is the functional unit of DNA. That is what I am going to tell you. ठीक है। तो जब भी आप डीएनए एक देखते तो डीएनए में क्या होता है, सर्टेन सीक्वेंसेस होते हैं और उन सीक्वेंस में एक पर्टिकुलर सीक्वेंस किसी पर्टिकुलर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को शो करने के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल होता है। सो दैट पर्टिकुलर सीक्वेंस ऑफ डीएनए works as a functional unit and that functional unit is called as gene. उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? जीन बोलेंगे। आप समझ रहे हैं? So whenever we talk about gene is just a part or just a functional unit of what? DNA. So if we want to make a correction in a gene, we have to make correction in DNA, in the strand of DNA. If we say that a gene is defective, that means particularly the part of DNA is defective and we have to make correction in the sequence of that DNA. We have to remove the defective part of that DNA and we have to replace it with a healthy portion of the similar sequence of DNA from another person, from a healthy person, right? That is the thing we have to do here to cure or to correct, to make the correction in the gene, right? अब यहां से हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। ये जो मामला है, ये जो न्यूज में चीज आई है, ये क्या है, इसके विषय में थोड़ा सा जाने, right? So here you can see that there are certain scientists in the United Kingdom testing a new form of cancer therapy, reported success in a teenage girl whose name is Alicia, with a form of cancer called T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia, right? एक तो मैं इसका नाम जो है उस नाम को थोड़ा सा चेंज यहां से करूंगा। Actually, I want to write the short form of this, the name of this disease. It has been also written in another newspaper as T cell all. all stands for acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, right? If you see here, this is T cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. अब यहां से मैं कुछ टर्म्स ऐसे जो कि आपको याद होने चाहिए. If you want to give the scientific name for blood cancer, if you want to give scientific name to blood cancer, it is called as leukemia. It is called as leukemia. In fact, it is called leukemia because in this kind of cancer, you can say that the number of leukocytes means it is the white blood corpuscles, WBCs जो होते हैं ना, the WBCs are called leukocytes, और जो leukocytes के number abnormally increase होने लगते हैं, that causes the blood cancer. blood में white blood cells या फिर आप कहते हैं कि WBCs के number जब increase होने लगते हैं, so उसके number को आप increasing number जो कि abnormally increase हो रहे हैं, इसको हम ल्यूकेमिया बोल सकते हैं, या फिर कॉमन भाषा में, कॉमन लैंग्वेज में हम इसे कह सकते हैं क्या, हम इसे ब्लड कैंसर कह सकते हैं, राइट? नाउ देयर आर सो मेनी टाइप्स ऑफ WBCs. if you know, I hope so, there are two major types of leukocytes or two major types of WBCs. एक तो आप कहते हैं ग्रेनुलोसाइट, दूसरा बोलते हैं ए ग्रेनुलोसाइट. जो ग्रेनुलोसाइट होते हैं उसमें आपके तीन जो पार्ट होते हैं, दोज आर न्यूट्रोफिल्स, बेसोफिल्स एंड इओसिनोफिल्स. एंड जो ए ग्रेनुलोसाइट होते हैं उसमें मोनोसाइट्स और लिम्फोसाइट्स करके दो डिफरेंट टाइप्स के सेल्स होते हैं. यानी अ टोटल 5 काइंड्स ऑफ WBCs आर प्रेजेंट इन आवर ब्लड, राइट? Among these type of WBCs, lymphocytes are particular kind of WBCs which are involved to make our immune system, right? ये हमारे immune system को build up करने में अपना contribution करते हैं. कौन से? Lymphocyte. वैसे तो सारे WBCs किसी ना किसी फॉर्म में हमारे बॉडी को प्रोटेक्ट करने का काम करते हैं, और फॉरेन ऑर्गेनिज्म या कोई भी फॉरेन सेल जो हमारे बॉडी के अंदर एंटर करता है उस सेल को मारने का काम करते हैं, राइट? लेकिन हियर यू हैव टू नो दैट पर्टिकुलरली lymphocytes आर सर्टेन cells which are present in the lymph vessels, और ये जो lymph fluid होता है, जो एक तरीके का टिश्यू फ्लूइड होता है, ये वहां पर प्रेजेंट होते हैं. एंड इफ a foreign organism or a foreign cell enters that lymph or that particular kind of tissue fluid, so these cells fight to those kind of foreign cells and then destroy them, try to destroy them. तो इस तरीके से ये पूरा immune system बनाने का काम करते हैं. Now I am talking about these lymphocytes. So there are two types of lymphocytes. If you know, the two types of lymphocytes are B cells and T cells. B cells and T cells. These are two types of lymphocytes. And here, when we talk about this, the name of this disease, its name is taken with T cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. That means it is a kind of leukemia which involves the T cells which are lymphocytes, which are a kind of WBCs. And here the increase in the number of T cell is observed in this case, right? इसमें हम क्या कर रहे हैं? T cell के नंबर को increase होता हुआ देख रहे हैं. That is what you have to see here. Okay. Now, if you concerned with this, इसमें हम क्या कर रहे हैं? Alicia was the first to receive experimental gene therapy that relied on a new technique called base editing. What is base editing? So here you have to know that if we say that a particular DNA is made, so that DNA is also made up of 4 kinds of nitrogenous bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine, right? ये 4 तरीके के जो सेल्स होंगे, ये 4 तरीके के नाइट्रोजनस बेसेस होंगे, दीज 4 काइंड्स ऑफ नाइट्रोजनस बेसेस आर इन्वॉल्व्ड देयर। ये चारों के चारों क्या होंगे, इन्वॉल्व होंगे। और यहां पर हम जो टी सेल एक्यूट लिम्फोब्लास्टिक ल्यूकेमिया है, इस लिम्फोब्लास्टिक ल्यूकेमिया के ट्रीटमेंट के लिए वो जो डीएनए में पर्टिकुलर बेस सीक्वेंस है, उस बेस सीक्वेंस में एडिटिंग करके इस डिजीज का ट्रीटमेंट कर पाने में सफल हुए हैं, या जो यूनाइटेड किंगडम के साइंटिस्ट हैं वो वहां पर सक्सेसफुल हुए हैं इस चीज को लेकर। सो नाउ you can see here, in this form of blood cancer, T cells, which are a class of white blood cells equipped to hunt and neutralize threats to the body, turn against the body and end up destroying healthy cells that normally help with immunity. So whenever this T cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia occurs in the body of a person, so basically T cells deny to do their work. What is the basic work of T cell? As I told you that T cells are basically involved in making the immune system of our body, right? यही तो मैंने बताया था कि T cells are involved in making the immune system of our body. Particularly these T cells are producing such kind of you can say secretions which which fight against the foreign cells or foreign organism. But if T cells are not doing so, so what is happened here, that this causes a kind of abnormality. And this abnormality is converted into a kind of cancer. It is converted into a kind of cancer, right? The disease is rapid and progressive and is usually treated by chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Up to now, whenever this disease was diagnosed, so by the use of chemotherapy and radiation therapy, the treatment was given to treat this disease, right? इस डिजीज के ट्रीटमेंट के लिए रेडिएशन थेरेपी या केमोथेरेपी का इस्तेमाल पहले किया जा रहा था। बट अभी के टर्म में हमने क्या किया, हमने जीन थेरेपी का इस्तेमाल किया और इसमें हम बेस एडिटिंग कर रहे हैं। बेस एडिटिंग का मतलब क्या हो गया कि जो 4 टाइप के जेनेटिक कोड बनाने वाले बेसेस हैं, उन बेसेस के सीक्वेंस किस तरीके के होने चाहिए। वी हैव फाउंड that due to the defect in the bases, due to the defect in the sequence of bases, the disease is caused, so that scientists edit the sequence of such bases, and due to editing in such sequence, you can say the disease is cured. तो इस तरीके से हमें वहां पर सफलता मिली है। So actually what we can expect here from this news, हम क्या यहां से expect कर सकते हैं? First of all, this news told us that gene therapy is now successfully used in the treatment of certain kind of blood cancer, right? So if it is given in the statement, this statement is true. सीधे सीधे आप कह सकते हो कि हाँ, उसके ट्रीटमेंट में इस तरह की चीजें जो है वो हो सकती हैं। Second thing here, that in this kind of gene therapy, base editing is the method through which the gene get corrected and the disease get cured, right? क्या हो रहा है इसमें? बेस एडिटिंग हो रही है और इस बेस एडिटिंग की वजह से जो ट्रीटमेंट है वो दिया जा रहा है। What kind of base editing? So the bases which are basic raw material or which are the basic you can say building blocks of DNA, right? वहां पर उनकी एडिटिंग कर रहे हैं और उनसे ये चीज जो है वो समझ में आ रही है। So this is one of the news which you have to know about. And here what are the developments? So as I told you, a team at the Great Ormond Street Hospital managed to use base editing to create a new type of T cell from a healthy donor that would not attack other cell in Alicia's body, not kill each other, survive chemotherapy, and finally hunt down all other T cells in Alicia's body. So after the correction in the T cells, what has happened there? Due to that, the healthy now the T cells are properly doing their work. They are not attacking the healthy cells, and that is how the disease get cured, right? इस तरीके से इस बीमारी को जो है वो सफलता से बताया गया, ठीक है, सफलता से इसको जो है वो निपटा दिया गया. ओके, नाउ इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू द सेकंड न्यूज, एंड द सेकंड न्यूज इज रिलेटेड टू a kind of heavenly body that oftenly comes to Earth's surface or oftenly seen in our atmosphere, which we are known to as meteor, right? meteor के बारे में यहाँ पर हम जानेंगे कि ये meteor है क्या. First of all, the news, what is given in the news. So the news says that what is the Geminids meteor shower and where can you watch it, right? It is talking about a kind of meteor shower that is called Geminid, and it is also talking about that where one can watch it, where one can see this meteor shower. So this is what about the news came in the newspaper, right? What is given in the news? The Geminids meteor is going to peak on the night of December 14 and 15. Actually, it is written a little wrong here. So, in this newspaper, it is said that this year the Geminids will peak around December 13-14, right? It is given as December 13-14. But the same news came in the Hindu newspaper, where it is written that the peak is seen on December 14-15. So whatever the dates can't be asked in the examination. The major thing is what is the basic behind it, right? इसके पीछे बेसिक्स क्या है उसको जरा देखते हैं. तो मीटियोर क्या है इसको समझेंगे, और जेमिनाइड ये क्या है इसको भी समझने का प्रयास करेंगे, समझने की कोशिश करेंगे, राइट? सो अबाउट जेमिनाइड मीटियोर शावर पहले हम देख लें कि ये जेमिनाइड मीटियोर शावर है क्या. देखो, नासा ने एक सर्टेन हेवनली बॉडी के बारे में बताया है, या हम एस्ट्रोनॉमी में एक सर्टेन हेवनली बॉडी के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, जहां पर हम ये कहते हैं कि वैसी हेवनली बॉडी जो कि कुपियर्स बेल्ट या फिर जो यूरेनस और नेपच्यून के आसपास के रीजन्स हैं, वहां पर जो बड़े बड़े आइस के चंक्स हैं, है ना, ये आइस चंक्स कई बार जब सन के अराउंड ऑर्बिट करते करते उसके नजदीक से निकलते हैं, या फिर कई बार जो एस्टेरॉइड्स होते हैं, वो एस्टेरॉइड्स जिनके ऊपर सर्टेन आइस का जो है वो एक लेयर आ जाता है, और ये जब सन के पास से निकलते हैं तो इनके सरफेस के ऊपर सब्लिमेशन होता है, और इस सब्लिमेशन के कारण जब ये हेवनली बॉडीज आगे बढ़ रही होती हैं तो इनके पीछे एक लंबी टेल जो है वो हमें गैसियस स्ट्रीक के फॉर्म में दिखाई देती है, और इसको हम जो है वो मीटियोर बोलते हैं. ओके, राइट, समथिंग इज, आशु इज सेइंग समथिंग, इट इज कवर्ड बाय मनोज सर. ओके देन, तब तो फिर मुझे इसे कराने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, आगे चलते हैं. चलिए, थैंक यू आशु. Okay, so now see here this third news. This third news is also concerned with the health section, है ना, क्योंकि ये न्यूज आजकल बहुत आ रहे हैं रिपीटेडली, इस तरह की न्यूज़ जो है वो हम देख रहे हैं. तो यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा जो है, यहाँ पर थोड़ा जो है, यस प्रतुष, I have taken this new news. What is covered by Manoj sir? I will not discuss that, right? Okay. Now see this third news. The third news is concerned with thoracic aortic aneurysm. Here the aneurysm term is important. So you have to mark it out, and you have to see what is aneurysm, right? You have to give thrust to listen this thing, the meaning of this thing. Condition that killed football writer Grant Wall during Qatar World Cup. Okay, so this is the news in which one of the major, uh, you can say, journalist, who was a sports journalist, and who was writing about, who was covering basically this football World Cup, FIFA World Cup, right? So Grant Wall suddenly got died due to such thoracic aortic aneurysm, right? तो ये क्या है, इसको जरा समझते हैं हम लोग. Okay, here when Grant Wall got died, so after his autopsy, it was given in the news that he died due to ascending thoracic aortic aneurysm, right? This is the name of the disease. Ascending term is basically used here. Why this ascending term is saying that the disease was progressive in nature, right? ये disease जो था अभी progression में था, अभी ये disease और भी बढ़ सकता था, right? So यहाँ पर हम पहले तो correct ये करें कि what is this thoracic aortic aneurysm, what kind of disease it is, right? An aneurysm is a localized weakening of the wall of a blood vessel, right? Here you have to write about the meaning of aneurysm. It is what? Aneurysm is basically localized weakening of wall of blood vessel, right? यानी कि किसी सर्टेन पार्ट पर जो ब्लड वेसल्स है, हमारी जो आर्टरीज और वेन्स हैं, इन ब्लड वेसल्स में क्या होगा, एक सर्टेन पार्ट में वीकनिंग आ जाएगी, एंड दैट वीकनिंग कॉजेज द वेसल टू bulge in that area whenever the blood vessel get weakened. So after the weakening of that part of blood vessel, certain bulge is caused. वहां पर क्या होगा, वो उस तरीके से फूल जाएगा, है ना, उतना पार्ट क्या हो जाएगा, फूल जाएगा, एक बल्ज वहां पर पैदा हो जाएगा, एंड दैट बल्ज बिकम मोर देन 50% ऑफ इज यूजुअल डायमीटर. यानी कि अगर डायमीटर जो है वो 10 मिलीमीटर का है, तो वो 10 मिलीमीटर का डायमीटर 15 मीटर का हो जाएगा, यानी 50% जो है उसमें इंक्रीज देखने को मिलेगा. जनरली इट इज सेड दैट एन्यूरिज्म्स आर मोर कॉमनली सीन इन आर्टरीज, ये ज्यादातर आर्टरीज में देखने को मिलते हैं than in veins, but it doesn't mean that veins do not show a kind of aneurysm, right? Veins also show aneurysm, but more often arteries show aneurysm, है ना. आर्टरीज के सर्टेन पार्ट में क्या हो जाएगा, इस तरीके से एन्यूरिज्म देखने को मिल सकता है, राइट? एन्यूरिज्म का मतलब क्या हुआ, फिर से बता रहा हूं, लोकलाइज्ड वीकनिंग ऑफ वॉल, राइट? ब्लड वेसल में एक पर्टिकुलर पार्ट में क्या हो जाएगा, वॉल ऑफ ब्लड वेसल वीक हो जाएगा और उसके चलते वहां पर एक बल्ज क्रिएट हो जाएगा. नाउ अब इससे क्या होगा, देखो हमने बहुत सारी आर्टरीज पढ़ी है, एंड आई एम वेरी मच श्योर दैट यू आर अवेयर अबाउट द difference between arteries and veins, particularly the arteries which are also known as aorta. Aorta is that kind of artery which is the largest artery in our body and which takes up blood from the heart to the body, right? Heart से body तक जो ले जाने वाली सबसे बड़ी आर्टरी है, इसको हम ऑर्टा बोलते हैं, ठीक है. द ऑर्टा इज द मेन आर्टरी दैट कैरीज ऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड फ्रॉम द हार्ट टू द रेस्ट ऑफ द बॉडी. इट इज आल्सो द बॉडीज लार्जेस्ट ब्लड वेसल, राइट, एज आई टोल्ड यू. An aortic aneurysm is a weakening and bulging in a portion of the aorta. Thoracic refers to that section of blood vessels that passes through the chest, right? So यहां से जो हमारे डिजीज का नाम है ना, व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ द डिजीज, इज thoracic aortic aneurysm. That means aneurysm is caused in that part of artery which is called aorta. Aorta, that means the main artery which carries blood from the heart to the other parts of body. Thoracic means the portion in the body which is concerned with our chest area, right? Which is concerned with our chest area. जैसे कि आपकी जो spinal cord है, when we talk about the parts of the spinal cord, so the part of the spinal cord which is covered in our neck part, so that is called cervical. The part of spinal cord that is covered by our chest part or that is found behind our chest part, that is called thoracic, and the part of spinal cord that is covered in our waist part, that is called lumbar, right? So here we have to talk about thoracic part. That means the aorta which is passing through the chest region of the person, it is called thoracic. So since the bulging and the weakening of wall of blood vessels or aorta takes place there in the thoracic part of the body, it is known as thoracic aortic aneurysm, right? इसको आप क्या बोलोगे? thoracic aortic aneurysm बोलोगे. और इसकी वजह से क्या होगा कि वहां पर वॉल की वीकनिंग की वजह से काफी ज्यादा परेशानी आ सकती है, क्योंकि जो ब्लड वहां से पास करेगा उस ब्लड के साथ जो है वो कई सारे डिसऑर्डर्स जो है वो देखने को मिलते हैं. When scientists came to know about this disease, that means aneurysm, they found out various kinds of causes. The causes are not certain, but these causes can be taken into some 3 or 4 types or 5 types, right? So you can see one by one these causes. One of the causes is degenerative diseases that causes breakdown of aortic wall tissue. As you know that in our body, our cells are not in such a manner, not found in such a manner that they live lifelong, right? All cells degenerate at a certain time period, in a certain time period, and at the place of those cells, new cells are formed, right? Due to cell division, new cells are formed and old cells got died, right? ये तो चलता रहता है हमारे पास. So if you can say a degenerative disease is occurred, that means a kind of disease in which we see the degeneration of cells, rapid degeneration of cells, it is called degenerative disease. और इसकी वजह से क्या होगा कि वो पार्ट जो है वो जहां पर इस तरह का डिजेनरेशन हो रहा है, उस पार्ट में सेल्स जो है वो बहुत तेजी से क्या हो जाएंगी? खत्म होती चली जाएंगी. So these kind of things are called degenerative disease. Normally such kind of degenerative diseases are seen in the older people, जहां पर उनकी सेल्स जो है वो कमजोर भी होती चली जाती हैं और साथ के साथ बहुत तेजी से वो खत्म भी होती चली जाती है, डेड होती चली जाती है. तो इसकी वजह से क्या होता है? दिक्कत आती है, या इसकी वजह से आप बोलते हैं कि जो ओल्ड पर्सन है वो डिजेनरेटिव डिजीजेस से गुजर रहे होते हैं, राइट? ओके, सो डिजेनरेटिव डिजीज के कारण हो सकता है, और ये डिजेनरेटिव डिजीज अगर कहां आ जाए? ऑर्टिक वॉल टिश्यू में आ जाए, यानी जो ऑर्टा है उस ऑर्टा के वॉल में अगर ये डिजेनरेशन होना शुरू हो जाए तो उसकी वजह से ऐसा हो सकता है. सम ऑफ द साइंटिस्ट सेड दैट it is caused due to certain genetic disorder. So genetic disorders are also defined there behind the cause of aneurysm, right? Family history, if in the predecessors in our family this kind of aneurysm is seen, so it could happen in the upcoming generations. जो आने वाली generations है उनमें भी इस तरह के diseases जो है वो देखने को मिल सकते हैं. Further, vasculitis, right, or inflammation of the arteries, it can also cause aneurysm. अगर आपके आर्टरी में किसी तरीके का इन्फ्लेमेशन हो, किसी तरीके के इन्फेक्शन की वजह से या कुछ चोट वगैरह लगने की वजह से वहां इन्फ्लेमेशन हो, and that inflammation sustains for a longer time, so it can also cause aneurysm, right? अगर ये जो आपको दिखाई दे रहा है इन्फ्लेमेशन, ये अगर सस्टेन कर जाता है लंबे समय तक तो उसकी वजह से भी एन्यूरिज्म हो सकता है ना? उसकी वजह से भी क्या हो सकता है? एन्यूरिज्म हो सकता है. एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस और द बिल्डअप ऑफ प्लाक on the walls of the artery, right? This term is very important, that is atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is a kind of, you can say, state of blood vessels in which the internal lumen, particularly I have to use the term lumen, so the lumen got covered by plaque. Plaque means it is covered by, or it is seen with the deposition of cholesterol or different kinds of toxic elements or toxic substances there around the lumen. तो अंदर से जो ल्यूमेन है जब पूरी तरीके से प्लाक से कवर होने लगता है, सो दिस स्टेट इज कॉल्ड एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस. इसको क्या बोलेंगे? एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस बोलेंगे. और इस एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस की वजह से भी आर्टरीज की जो वॉल्स है वो क्या हो सकती है? कमजोर हो सकती है. देन in rare cases an infection can also trigger an aneurysm if in different parts of our body certain infection is caused, so that infection can also cause aneurysm. So as I told you earlier that there are no certain causes behind the occurrence of aneurysm, right? So various kinds of causes are identified, and among these causes one of the cause can ट्रिगर द एन्यूरिज्म, राइट? ये क्या कर सकता है? एन्यूरिज्म को करा सकता है. ओके, नाउ सी व्हाट आर द सिम्टम्स. क्या होगा? तो देखो, जब ब्लड वेसल्स में किसी तरह की परेशानी आ रही है, इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि ब्लड वेसल्स से जो ब्लड पास करेगा, दैट ब्लड passes through the blood vessel with very difficulty, right? डिफिकल्टी के साथ जो है वो वहां से पास करेगा. सो इसकी वजह से वी कैन फील पेन्स इन सर्टेन पार्ट्स ऑफ आवर बॉडी. अलग अलग जगह पेन होना शुरू हो जाएगा. एंड दैट पेन कहां कहां हो सकता है? पेन इन द जॉ, नेक, चेस्ट एरिया एंड अपर बैक पोर्शन. अपर बैक पोर्शन मींस योर स्कैपुला पोर्शन, है ना? ये जो पीछे वाले रीजन्स है, यहां पर आपको जो है वो पेन महसूस होगा. यू कैन फील पेन इन योर चेस्ट रीजन, यू कैन फील पेन इन योर जॉ रीजन, बिकॉज यहां तक जो ब्लड है वो सही तरीके से नहीं पहुंच पाएगा, तो आपके जॉ में जो है वो पेन सा महसूस होगा, नेक एरिया में पेन सा महसूस होगा. इसकी वजह से ऐसी कंडीशंस पैदा हो सकती है, राइट? वीजिंग, कफिंग और शॉर्टनेस ऑफ ब्रीथ कैन बी कॉज. यहां पर क्योंकि जब भी इस तरह की चीज, ऐसा एन्यूरिज्म होगा, सो द प्रेशर इन द ब्लड वेसल गेट लॉस्ट, और प्रेशर जब लॉस हो जाएगा तो ट्रैकिया तक जो है वो सही तरीके से ब्लड पहुंच नहीं पाएगा. इसकी वजह से शॉर्टनेस ऑफ ब्रीदिंग देखने को मिलेगी, मतलब आदमी तेजी से सांस लेना शुरू कर देगा. और इसके अलावा क्या कर सकता है? कफिंग, बार बार उसको खांसी आने की स्थिति बनेगी, या फिर वीजिंग, उबासी आने की स्थिति जो है वो बनेगी. इससे वोकल कॉर्ड्स जो होते हैं इन पर भी प्रेशर होता है, और वोकल कॉर्ड्स पर प्रेशर होने से हॉर्सनेस यानी आवाज जो है वो काफी भारी हो जाती है. ये इसके सिम्टम्स होंगे. या फिर किसी भी चीज को निगलने में, स्वेलोइंग में जो है वो दिक्कत आती है, क्योंकि जो आपका नीचे, जब आप यहां से नीचे आते हैं, इसोफेगस वाले रीजन में आते हैं, तो वहां पर इसोफेगस पर भी प्रेशर होता है, जिसकी वजह से वो कॉन्स्ट्रिक्ट हो जाता है, वो एक्सपैंड नहीं हो पाता प्रॉपरली. और अगर प्रॉपरली एक्सपैंड नहीं हो पाएगा तो उसकी वजह से काफी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स जो है वो आ सकती है. ओके, थ्रेट्स क्या है? सो एन्यूरिज्म जब ब्लड को प्रॉपरली पहुंचने नहीं देगा बॉडी के डिफरेंट पार्ट्स तक, तो वो बॉडी पार्ट्स जो है वो खासकर क्या हो सकते हैं? धीरे धीरे उनमें डिजेनरेशन की शिकायत आ सकती है. और इसमें कई और भी थ्रेट्स हैं जो आ सकते हैं. An aneurysm increases what in size over time, and the wall of blood vessel get progressively weaker in that area. That means aneurysm is a kind of progressive disease. ये कैसा डिजीज है? ये प्रोग्रेसिव डिजीज है. और इसीलिए जब आपने न्यूज देखा था तो वहां पर लिखा हुआ था ascending thoracic aortic aneurysm, right? It was written as ascending thoracic aortic aneurysm, right? So इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? It is progressive in nature, and whenever it is, since it is progressive in nature, so it can affect a huge part of blood vessels got aneurized, और उसकी वजह से ब्लड वेसल्स जो वीक काफी ज्यादा हो जाएंगे. सो एट अ सर्टेन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम दे कैन बर्स्ट, राइट? ये फट भी सकते हैं, एज इट इज रिटन इन द सेकंड पॉइंट, दैट द वेसल मे अल्टीमेटली बर्स्ट और सेपरेट, ट्रिगरिंग अ ब्लीडिंग रश that can be life threatening or potentially lethal, right? So if that burst is caused in certain vital portion of our body, So it can be lethal for us, it can be fatal for us. And that is why when a person is diagnosed with certain aneurysm, he should take care of this kind of thing and he should take treatment to cure this disease, right? Okay. Now, one of the news, it is concerned with the energy portion. As I told you earlier that in science and technology portion, the energy portion is very important, and particularly the energy that is concerned with the different forms of renewable energy, right? If different forms of renewable energy on which government is working, on which with which we are concerned, so obviously it should be asked in the examination, and that is why any news which is concerned with certain renewable form of energy is important to us, right? So इसलिए इसके बारे में आप जरूर पढ़े. One of the news that came uh, on the in the newspaper on December 13. So in the Hindu newspaper, it is written that only 1/4 of sanctioned solar power projects took off, says minister. However, this news is concerned with a renewable form of energy, particularly the solar power, but it is majorly defining the policy of government, in which government or the minister is saying that only 1/4 of sanctioned solar power, that means the solar power projects which were sanctioned earlier, so only 1/4 from those sanctioned solar power projects took off, right? So what is given here in this newspaper in details we will see here. Okay, see, the union government has so far sanctioned the developments of solar projects with a capacity of nearly 39,000 megawatt, but only a fourth have been commissioned so far, right? So earlier government have sanctioned the solar power, development of solar power projects of capacity nearly 39,000 megawatt, a huge amount of energy is produced, will be produced if the whole project would be completed, right? जब ये पूरा प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हो जाएगा तो इतने ज्यादा एनर्जी को हम प्रोड्यूस कर पाएंगे, एंड वी would get rid from the use of conventional kind of energy resources, right? इतनी जब एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस होने लगेगी सोलर पावर से, तो हमें कन्वेंशनल काइंड ऑफ एनर्जी रिसोर्सेज की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी, और हम जो है आराम से क्या कर सकते हैं, इस एनर्जी से काम कर सकते हैं. बट कंसर्न्स क्या है, ये मेंस के लिए भी आपके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकता है, प्रीलिम्स में तो कुछ चीजें पूछी ही जा सकती हैं, बट मेंस में भी है. व्हाट इज सोलर एनर्जी? सोलर एनर्जी any type of energy generated by the sun. सोलर एनर्जी इज क्रिएटेड बाय न्यूक्लियर फ्यूजन. ये सभी को पता है, न्यूक्लियर फ्यूजन रिएक्शन जिसमें हाइड्रोजन के एटम जो हैं उनके न्यूक्लियस फ्यूज करने के बाद हीलियम के एटम में कन्वर्ट कर जाते हैं, राइट? So fusion occurs when protons of hydrogen atom violently collide with the sun's core and fuse to create a helium atom, right? तो इसमें कोई बहुत ज्यादा आपको जानने की जरूरत नहीं है, सबको पता है, एक तरीके का रिवीजन आपका यहां पर हो गया, right? What are the major challenges behind the cancellation of 3/4 of projects, or the you can say the suspension of 3/4 of solar projects which were sanctioned earlier? तो उसके पीछे क्या रीजन है, हम क्यों नहीं सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स को एक साथ चला पा रहे हैं? तो कई सारे रीजंस है, उसमें it would be helpful to you for mains examination. So here we will see what are the major challenges. One of the major challenges is cancellation. Cancellation of what? Some solar parks had been cancelled due to their slow progress. Since government is properly scrutinizing the operational speed of the projects, so that is why those solar parks have been cancelled in which the progress is very slow, right? And that is why government wanted to appoint certain such persons which can make this progress rapid, the progress of this project rapid, right? Okay, The second major challenge is land acquisition. Here it is said that the key challenge currently is hurdle in acquisition of land for the project. As you know that to get solar energy, we have to put solar panels on a big land, and since the establishment of solar panels need huge area, so it requires land acquisition. If the project is concerned with government, it is not a private project, it is not an individual project. So since this project is concerned with government, government have to acquire land acquisition, and in that manner government is facing certain problems, and so that the progress of these projects get slowed down, और इसकी वजह से जो है काफी परेशानी आ रही है. Now there is a mismatch in the time taken to set up a project and the infrastructure to route the power produced to the grid. That means the setup of the project and the infrastructure due to which the produced electricity is taken to the grid. So there is a mismatch, and due to this mismatch, you can say one cannot be able to calculate what is the production and what is utilized, right? Certain environmental issues are there. One can say that how the production of solar energy can cause certain environmental issues, but here you have to see that the habitat of the great Indian bustard, which are critically endangered species in Rajasthan, has been encroached upon by solar power projects, particularly by transmission lines that endangered the bird, right? So here, though we say that the production of electricity through solar power panels are environment friendly and they are not causing any kind of pollution in the environment, but they become threat to certain organisms and their habitat, and that is why it is the environmental cause behind the discontinuation of, you can say, the sanctioned solar power projects, right? So in this case, you can say the environmental issue is seen with the great Indian bustard habitat, and as you know that the great Indian bustard is basically a critically endangered bird or a critically endangered species which is concerned with the home state Rajasthan, and as you know that major part of such solar power projects are carried has to be carried in Rajasthan. That is why, since certain threat is seen on these endangered birds, so various solar power projects have been cancelled or discontinued, right? And a major concern is also related to impact of COVID-19. Impact of COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown up tough challenges, and the pace of renewable energy projects development and commissioning has been adversely impacted. So as you know that various kinds of projects, not only this solar power project but also various kinds of projects have been delayed, various kinds of projects have been discontinued due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. So that is why the impact is also seen here in these projects, right? And again, one of the last and very important cause behind the discontinuation of these projects is basically the costing of the establishment of such solar power projects. As it is written here that the Supreme Court has directed that power companies should lay underground cables in solar parks in Rajasthan, which is an impractical step and would greatly raise the cost of solar power. Okay, so here Supreme Court interrupted the process of operation of establishment of certain solar power projects, and Supreme Court has said that laying of underground cables is costly matter, and this increases the cost of operation of any of the solar power projects, and due to this, due to huge costing, it is not possible for the government, it is not possible for public sector companies to establish or carry on such projects with the same pace, right? And that is why the cost become a major cause here. Okay, now see here, since government is working on these projects, government is working on these projects, so certain major programs have been seen here as an initiative taken by the government. So here I have discussed about some of the major programs in renewable energy sector. In renewable energy sector, one of the major program is written here as National Solar Mission. This is a mission that is launched with the objective of establishing India as a global leader in solar energy. As you know that India is a tropical country, and since India is a tropical country, there is immense possibility of the production of solar energy here, and that is why government launched such a program in which government projected that India will become the leader in the production of solar energy, and so that with that perspective government is working on the National Solar Mission. So in this mission, government is doing so by creating the policy condition for solar technology diffusion across the country. And as I was telling that government have sanctioned so many solar projects all over in the country, but due to certain causes in different areas, in different regions, the solar projects have been discontinued right now. They have been carried, they will be carried in the future time, right? The initial target of NSM, that is National Solar Mission, was to install 20 gigawatt solar power by 2022. It was the aim of the government, but as you know that in 2015, whenever it was the first tenure of the Modi government, so in the first year of its tenure, government decided that India will become a leader in the solar power production, and that is why government has decided that had decided in early 2015 that the production of the target for the production of solar power energy will be 100 gigawatt by 2022. However, as I am telling that now that government has basically it is taken for 2025. I am sorry, it was taken from 2025, but the initial target of this National Solar Mission was to install 20 gigawatt of solar power by 2022, right? It was the initial target. Okay, now you can see here the second program of Indian government, that is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Maha Abhiyan. It has been abbreviated as PM Kusum. It has been abbreviated as PM Kusum. Kusum means Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Maha Abhiyan, right? It is abbreviated as Pradhan Mantri PM Kusum, right? Launched in 2019, it aims to help farmers access reliable daytime solar power for irrigation, reduce power subsidies, and decarbonize agriculture. Very ambitious project it is, very ambitious project of government it is. Here you can see that with this one project, government targeted three major things here. One of the major thing is that irrigation processes are carried with solar power energy. Second thing is what? Due to the production of solar power energy, due to the production of electricity through solar projects, government will gradually reduce the power subsidies which has been given to the farmers. And the third is what? Agriculture become decarbonized. Why? Because since electricity is produced through such environmental friendly projects, such environmental friendly processes, that's why the agriculture become decarbonized. The PM Kusum provides farmers with incentives to install solar power pumps and plants in their fields, right? So it is one of the major initiative by the government. Now here you can see the third uh, program of the government as Atal Jyoti Yojana, that is named as Ajay. It was started in the year 2015 and now its phase 2 is carried on. It is a scheme for the installation of solar street lights with 25% fund contribution from MP LAD fund, right? So 75% fund is provided by the central government and 25% of the fund is provided by the MP LAD, that is what, the Member of Parliament Local Area Development Fund, right? So through it, the installation of solar street lights, that means street lights based on solar power, have been established, and due to this you can say it is a very ambitious project, due to which various lightless villages become lightened, right? अब इसमें बहुत सारे विलेजेस जो है वो कवर किए गए हैं इस अटल ज्योति योजना के अंतर्गत. ओके, नाउ द फोर्थ प्रोग्राम इज व्हाट? इट इज सोलर पार्क्स स्कीम. Solar parks provide solar power developers with a plug and play model by facilitating necessary infrastructure like land, power evacuation facilities, road connectivity, water facility, etc. along with all statutory clearances. सोलर पार्क लगाने के लिए गवर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव ले रही है और जो भी प्राइवेट सेक्टर्स में जो सोलर पावर डेवलपर्स हैं, ऐसे सोलर पावर डेवलपर्स को इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट जो है वो फैसिलिटी प्रोवाइड कर रही है, whether they want land, whether they want power evacuation facility, whether they want road connectivity, whether they want water facility. All these facilities are provided by government if anyone wanted to become a solar power developer, right? So this is what, this is the solar power parks scheme that is important here. Okay, so in this way I told you a major portion of today's class. One of the portion was already taken by Manoj sir, so that meteor portion I have not discussed to you. These PDFs have been sent to you just the completion of this class, right? So I think that all the things I have discussed to you here in this session, it is understood to you and you get benefited from it, right? So see you in the next week. In the on the next Wednesday, we will discuss some more news which will covered by different newspapers in the next week. Thank you very much.